Hello, I'm Dave, and this is my Fallout 4 VR review. I'm trying something a bit new this time. This is actually already written up. I used to wing my videos, but this is my review already written. So, Fallout 4 VR. It's a great game, but only if you can edit files or follow guides. Just the core game is included, no DLC. Bethesda Studios' recently released VR title has some major performance issues. Oh boy, does it. Even on a high-end PC, people are getting reprojection ratios of between 50 and 60%. I myself got 70%. A reprojection rate this high is very bad. However, Bethesda Studios have released a series of patches to improve this by downgrading the super sampling levels, which has lowered the visual fidelity. Despite this, Fallout 4 VR is so good, you're going to want to play it anyway. Given that Fallout 4 VR is a full retail priced game, the lack of DLC is a little surprising. Recently released Skyrim VR on PSVR also included all DLC, which further confuses us as to why we didn't get all the DLC for Fallout 4. Though people have found ways of getting the DLC from the Pancake, the traditional Fallout 4 version. I love that Pancake edition. Not flat screen, but Pancake. I love that. From traditional Fallout 4 VR into the VR edition. Psst, you just copy the files. Right. Shoehorning DLC in is not officially supported, and by all accounts, some DLC areas are unplayable due to missing floor. It is worth noting, however, that the DLC for the settlement building items are added. A community Discord server exists to help people fix or at least mitigate these performance issues. I'll put the link in the description. Let us quickly address some of these terms that you guys might not be familiar with, especially if you're new to VR. Reprojection. Reprojection happens when Steam VR notices that the performance is going to drop below 90 frames per second, and is designed to prevent nausea. To keep a stable frame rate, it sends already rendered frames back to the headset. This creates a ghosting effect around many moving objects at high rates, and high rates are considered anything between 20 and 30%. It can actually be quite noticeable, quite glaring. The default in Fallout 4 VR is 50 to 70% and really hard to play. The effect this has on people varies. You can check your reprojection rate by using the free advanced settings overlay, which you should really have installed already. To see why, I link it in my review. I link to another article on the best free games to install, and advanced system settings overlay is in that article, but I will put a link in the description as well. Now, super sampling renders the image at a much higher resolution than your VR HMD, the head-mounted display, can display, and then shrinks it down to your device. Now, this does sound quite strange. You'd think that it would be the same clarity, but it actually comes across a lot clearer when they render it at 4K and then shrink it down than if they rendered it at the target resolution. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But it does tax your PC a lot, because obviously not only are you rendering it at a higher resolution, but you're then scaling it down. Okay, one of the most exciting pieces of news for Bethesda fans is Fallout 4 can be modded. Yay! This mod support is unsupported by Bethesda Studios. Adding mods is quick and relatively easy process. It's beyond the scope of this video and the review to list how to install these mods, but multiple guides exist, and the Discord server I mentioned before will help you out. I also found that performance with mods was no different to performance without them installed. Naturally, you need to be sensible and avoid 4K texture packs, as this would majorly affect performance. It is worth noting that mods can add stuff that enhance the game quite drastically. One of the favourites among the VR community simply makes scopes actually work in Fallout 4 VR. So you can look down them. It's more immersive. Why Bethesda didn't add immersive scopes to start off with, I don't know, but yeah. Mods can add anything from lightsabers to whole new maps, and can even be used to rebalance the game. The modding community is really strong and supportive of Fallout 4 and its VR version. This network of fans and modders are actively working to fix the game. and it's very impressive to see such dedication and support. And really, mod guys, if you're watching this, I am seriously impressed. You guys do all this work for free, and without you guys, the performance of this game would be completely unplayable. My system has a GTX 1080 graphics card and an i7 6700 CPU, and it's handled everything I throw at it so far except Fallout 4 VR. When I first loaded up the game, I got a reprojection rate of 70%. I've beta tested many VR games, and anything over 30% is considered too high even for unreleased titles. Yeah, I have never seen 70% before. It really surprised me that Bethesda Studios shipped a game like this. After some searching, I found a few of the modding community hotspots. Most are now in that Discord link. And new methods of improving Fallout 4 VR's performance come out in small bursts, from repacking textures to tweaking internal files. I did it all. Just a quick note, repacking the textures, you had to use like 3 different programs, extract all the textures, put in the new textures that were at lower resolution, recombine it and everything. It saved a significant amount of disk space and got my performance down just a little bit, just a tiny bit, improved my performance just a tiny bit. Okay, so yeah, after all the steps that I followed, I got the reprojection down to 25%. Now on any other game, I'd have still said that is way too high. It still needs to improve. Bethesda need to have a quiet word with their quality control department. I don't know, do they have a quality control department? I don't think they did for this game. At this stage of the review, you might be thinking the game is not worth it. If you're intimidated by editing INI files, I do urge you to wait. However, if you're okay with editing files and following guides, then what awaits you is probably one of the best games I've played in virtual reality in a long time. At one point in my tests, I came across a Protectron guarded in a hallway. I heard it first and peeked my head round the door. There it stood, a 7-foot clumsy robot, with his back to me. I quickly ducked back and weighed my options. I then physically jumped through the door while activating VATS, the Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, which in this iteration, in the VR version, it slows down time. So there I am, diving, pulling my trigger, emptying the clip. You can see the bullets just flying up, blow his head up, and you can see bits of the Protectron's head just exploding, all in slow motion. It was brilliant. Yeah, I was Neo. This was the Matrix. It was awesome. And then my activity bar ran out, time sped back up, and there was this little sentry turret in the ceiling that, didn't like me killing his friend. But reloaded the same position, slightly different tactic. Basically, I leant my gun round the wall and shot it that way. Blind fired it, got him, and everything was good again. So, you know, it's a very, very good game once you get it to work. It's an amazing game once you get it to work. To get around in Fallout 4 VR, you have a couple of options. The first is teleportation, allowing you to teleport a fair way, and ideally for those who get motion sick, an ideal for those that get motion sick. The second, which is my preferred method, is the trackpad. It allows you to move back and forward, sidestep, whole works, and if you touch the edges of the trackpad, you turn. There are a ton of options for VR, basically VR options to tailor your comfort level. This is going to come as great relief because a lot of people were displeased with Bethesda Studios for the Doom VR. Doom VR had no options for transportation, locomotions, the vigilantes thing that comes in from the side. They had none of that, no controls to help people who get VR sick. I don't know why that game just, especially in Skyrim, has such good movement systems. But anyway, the movement systems in Fallout 4 VR are very good, and the options for anti-nausea, etc. are very good. There are also options for how the Pip-Boy is displayed. You can have it on your wrist and you bring it quite naturally. That's quite cool. I like that because you just bring your wrist up and there it is. It kind of enlarges when you look at it. Controlling it, you can also have it projected on your screen, so you push a button and it gets projected right in front of you. Now, some people complained that they couldn't control it. They found controlling it quite awkward. To be honest, I don't know where they're coming from. I found it very easy to use. Okay. Basically as well, also just like in the pancake version, you can move all the objects around, only now with the precision of VR. There does seem to be an issue with moving bodies, which means you get rather unpleasant sights in your settlement. The trick here, I'm told, is to look at your Pip-Boy and move them with your other hand. And I quite like that. It's almost like, okay, I'm going to have to move this body, so I'm going to look at the Pip-Boy. I'm not going to look at the body. I'm going to move the body without looking at it. It's all to do with the default pickup button also being the loot button when you come to a corpse. When you're looking at your Pip-Boy, you can't loot things, so that button gets freed up and then you can pick the bodies up. It's awkward, but it is what it is. It works. That's the main thing. In Fallout 4 VR, there's a lot of workarounds for a lot of issues. Settlement construction is back and in full. When you activate the workshop, you enter construction mode on your settlement. This turns the touchpad into a menu of items. It's like holding a paintbrush, a paint palette of items, and you can just scroll through it. It's very, very cool. If you are on touchpad movement, you'll get switched to teleportation movement, and that's to free up the touchpad for this menu. The precision you get when placing and rotating objects is incredibly impressive, and I can see myself creating a very large integral home settlement. Oh, yep, very much so. I'm waiting for the performance issues to die down a little bit, some more fixes to come into it before I really dig into the game, but the precision you can get being actually in the settlement and moving objects, spot on. Fallout 4 VR has all the sound and voice acting from the original game, only now you're actually there. The sense of presence is very good despite the blurriness of the visuals. Yeah, I may have my settings a little bit too low, so it is quite blurry. This is not to say the visuals are particularly bad. You do get used to the blur quickly, and there are ways for high-end CPU users to rid themselves of the blur, Steam's super sampling, and that does seem to be where the bottleneck is CPU usage. A lot of people have overclocked their CPU, saying that they don't have half the issues that myself and people who don't like overclocking stuff have suffered. Everything that makes Fallout 4 a fantastic game can be found in the VR version. However, what makes Fallout 4 VR special is that immersion. Wearing power armor, for example, you stand an extra half-foot tall. It doesn't sound like much, but it makes a difference. You feel big, you feel powerful. The NPCs are sort of looking up at you. It's just that awesome feel. Visiting Sanctuary after the prologue in the VR version, and having Codsworth greet me with his usual Mr. David, because I'm lucky enough to have my name match one of the voice samples that Bethesda used for him. It just felt more real, more personal than it ever did in the Pancake version. With this level of realism in VR, I'm finding I'm interacting with NPCs in a much more true to my nature method. These are no mere collection of pixels in front of me. This is Preston. He has something important he wants me to do. I must do it. There is a settlement in need of my help. Completely unrelated to my last sentence, honest, but you can now manually hit NPCs. Not that we would, of course. Yeah, but basically what I'm trying to say there is, in video games, normally, I'm quite a violent person in video games. I'm quite an evil person. I'm quite happily create violent and evil situations because it's a game. Alright, simple as that. I know it's a game. I'm adult enough to know the difference between reality and fiction. When you're in VR and the NPC's in front of you and expression, that reality gets blurred a little bit. You still know it's a game. You're sure it's a game. You know that. But the NPC feels a lot more real because of the immersion of VR, the depth that videos just don't do justice to it. But there is a depth perception, there is a feeling of being there, especially when you're playing it for a while, and you find yourself helping the NPCs because that's what you personally would do in that situation. I found it very hard to hit some of the characters. I found it a little hard to shoot some of them, but you know, that's what VR is. It's more sense of immersion. You are being enveloped into this world. Okay, I got off on a tangent. I do apologise. Alright, the user interface has had some major tweaks and works well inside the Vive. One of the things I quite liked was the subtitles. No matter where you looked, the subtitles would float in front of you. And it just looked perfect. It just spot on. The whole user interface in general, very, very easy to use with the Vive controllers. I have heard some people have had issues with the Rift controllers, but the game's not really designed with the Rift in mind. I'm sure the developers will patch that in later on. So, is Fallout 4 worth your money? You see, this is tricky to answer. Now, I don't regret buying it at all. I got it from Amazon. I paid a lot less than retail value. They did take a long time to deliver it. I pre-ordered it a while back and they didn't deliver it for the release day. They delivered it a day later. There was a lot of faffing around and all sorts, and they ended up actually refunding it for me because they'd messed me about so much. So technically I got it free, but even if I'd paid the less than retail price that I paid originally, I'd still be quite happy with the purchase. This is a game that's going to be very good. But here's that trick. I've gone off script here, but here's the trick. It's going to be really good. At the moment, if your computer can run it, if you've got a very high-end PC with a very high-end CPU, it is good right now. If you can follow guides, if you can follow INI files, and edit and get the most performance out of it, and don't mind downgrading your visuals a little bit, then it is a damn good game right now. But if you're not used to editing files, if that sort of thing intimidates you, and let's be honest, it intimidates quite a lot of us. Yeah, we can easily mess up with these files. There are good guides, they will help you out, but we shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't have to edit files. We shouldn't have to fix a game on release. That's I don't know why we accept it, but it is what it is. So basically, if you can edit files, if you've got a powerful PC, it's definitely worth the money, 100%. If that intimidates you, put it on your wish list, wait for a sale, get it then. The main community of Fallout 4, basically, I'll link in the description. I'll link to the Discord channel. These guys are awesome. They'll help you out. Not only will they help you out in performance issues, but they've got some good guides on what mods work, what mods don't, how to get some of the mods that don't work to work, all these little steps, including how to get the DLC into the core game and how to get past the bits of the DLC that are a little broken because of the VR. There's I can't think of the name of the robot, the Automaton add-on. There's a bit in there that you can't get past, and basically you kind of save the game, switch over to your pancake version, go past that bit, save the game, switch back to your VR version and carry on. But they'll tell you in a lot better detail. So yeah, this is the first review I've done where I've read out my review. I've gone off key and off script a few times to explain things in a lot more detail and a lot more personal than I've been trained to do these reviews. I've been basically taking a few courses on improving my writing, and you have to take out a lot of the personal aspect of your review. No laugh out louds and no smiley faces, you know. So when I'm recording them for the video, I might throw more of those personal touches back in because I feel a video is more personal. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more. Also, please, in the description is a link to my curator. Please follow it, especially if you like VR reviews. There'll be more than just VR games, but mainly VR games. And yeah, like and subscribe. Have fun. Bye.